So, first of all, I want to point out that I'm not positioning myself as the lyric crab essay specialist here. I just have an interest in it, and I'm studying it this semester. So I wanted to offer you some resources and also just offer you a chance to explore. Low risk, and just kind of get into it. I think it's really fun, and it's also a way to kind of have a form to write. Like sometimes I really find like I get writer's block, and this is a really good form to work with if you have writer's block and you want to kind of have a format to work from. So let's jump in here. Let's see, it's only 11:02. Maybe I'll wait. Oh, Laura B writing. Oh, hi, Laura. So maybe I'll just ask you guys a question. Throw a couple hearts up there if you have written a hermit crab essay, or if you regularly write these type of essays, so I can kind of see where I'm at here. I know I read some of Laura B's writing, amazing writing. Okay, well, it doesn't matter. We'll just get started talking about it a little bit. So, first of all, I think it's good to understand what the difference is between a lyric essay and a um, and a narrative essay, right? Because they're really kind of two distinct things, and they're really on the opposite ends of sort of the creative nonfiction essay spectrum. So, a narrative essay is, of course, concerned with story, right? It's about story and events. So, there's a through line that's controlled by a story. There's generally movement that's from that includes a plot, right? And the purpose is to tell a story, right? So, where a narrative or a lyrical essay is mostly focused on language, images. Oftentimes, it's fragmented. Um, Hello. Oh, Annette, thank you all for joining. Anyway, oftentimes a lyric essay is fragmented. It is dependent off on like white space, the way it's positioned on a page. So if you think about poetry, poetry has a lot of different forms. So in a way, you can think this lyric essays are kind of like the different forms of nonfiction, just the way poetry has different forms. So I'm going to read a couple of excerpts here, and the notes that I'm giving you really are from a couple of books. And I published like a little list on notes so you can look at the materials. So the first one is Tell It Slant. This is by Brenda Miller and Suzanne Paula. Brenda Miller is really kind of the guru of lyric essay. So this is a really like a craft book, a textbook, and there's also essays, an anthology of essays in the back. And then also drawing on this book, which is called The Shell Game, also by Brenda Miller, and it's all hermit crab essays. So, just in general, lyric essay. So, here's a difference between a narrative essay and a lyric essay with the same content. So, for a narrative essay, on the third day of the storm, my mother finally left the house. She walked down to the beach at dawn, her yellow raincoat bright against the gray. I followed 20 feet behind, close enough to see her stoop and pick up something from the sand. So you can see there's even like a little bit of plot forming there. And then for the lyric, the sea remembers nothing, salt erases, wind carries away. But here in the margin, between water and sand, I collect what washes up a blue bottle cap, a child's shoe, the particular way light fractures on broken glass. So, same content, different formats. You can kind of see the difference there. But I specifically wanted to focus on the hermit crab essay. So, the hermit crab essay is kind of a specific type of lyric essay. And some of you may have heard of this, and some of you might not be familiar with it at all. But it's basically an essay that borrows an existing form, right? So, as you know, a hermit crab is just a little creature that takes on different shells, right? So, it's a very apt metaphor. And I thought I would read a little bit of the definition because it sounds so great. Okay, at Madame Mine, thanks for joining. And Maria, it's okay that you're late. I won't give you detention. Okay. All right. So here's a little bit of a definition of the Hermit Crab essay from Tell It Slants, an amazing book that you should all buy, especially if you're interested in creative nonfiction. A hermit crab is a strange animal born without the armor to protect its soft, exposed abdomen. And so it spends its life occupying the empty, often beautiful shells left behind by snails and other mollusks. It reanimates these shells, making them a strange new hybrid creature that has its own particular beauty and its own way of moving through the tide pools and among the rocks. Each one of them will be slightly different depending on the type of shell it inhabits. In honor of these wonderful creatures, I've dubbed a particular form of lyric essay the hermit crab essay. This kind of essay appropriates existing forms as an outer covering to protect its soft, vulnerable underbelly. It is an essay that deals with material that seems born without its own carapace, material that is soft, exposed, and tender, and must look elsewhere to find the form that will best contain it. Okay. So when you're thinking about like writing a lyric or a hermit crab essay, and I posted one recently. Um, I kind of think it's important to consider your content, what you're writing about, and then also obviously consider what kind of shell you want, right? Usually people consider like existing forms and they try to match that content, right? So some really obvious examples or examples you may have seen, instructions like how to lose your heart, something like that. Lists, definitions, recipes, medical forms, FAQ pages, dating profiles, maps, timelines. So I think the main thing that emphasizes that the form isn't just a decoration, right? Like it's not just kitschy or I don't know. It's not just decorative. Like it really should. The form and the meaning should come together. So I know hermit crabs are super cute. My damn mind, I agree. So anyway, I thought I'd just show you a couple examples. I won't read all of them, but just to kind of get into it a little bit. So these two examples are again from this anthology. And one of them is kind of serious, like it sends a little bit more of a serious message, and one of them I think is just humorous. So the first one is called Math 1619. And so the shell is really like the form of math, like a math problem, really long math problem. It includes some diagrams, but the content is like it's really exploring the idea of being an African American in an all white school, like in a boarding school, and how this author is like how she feels and how she feels kind of positioned. So I'll just read the last part of it, which is you can see this little diagram. This is the extra credit section. The black girl and her mother are traveling from their home, point X, to a wedding, point Y, winding down the back roads of Connecticut. The mother asked the daughter how she and her husband could do a better job of raising the girl's brother as a black boy. Note that the presence of male privilege in this equation may change your problem solving strategies. The mother apologizes for not giving her daughter any culture, any roots to hang on to, and no concept of how to embrace her blackness. She says she is scared for her children. What can we do differently for your brother? She asked the girl, pleading. If the car can go 55 miles per hour on the highway, but only 25 miles per hour on the dirt roads, how long does the black girl have to explain to her mother that she doesn't think there's anything the parent can do to make growing up black less painful? So the whole essay is pretty interesting, and maybe if you love math too, you'll find it even more compelling. All right, and then the last one I wanted to look at was from Brenda Miller, and this is one I don't know you may have seen. Yes, we can. There's Elderman down mine says I wasn't prepared for this analogy or metaphor, but not surprised we can learn so much from our animal friends. So true. Okay, so I won't read all of this one because it's pretty long, but it's called "We Regret to Inform You." So the author Brenda Miller, she kind of she writes about like some painful moments in her life, or even just like funny, embarrassing situations, from the kind of perspective of like letters. We regret to inform you, or rejection letters. So I'll read one from October 13th, 1975. Dear 10th grader, thank you for your application to be the girlfriend of one of our star basketball players. As you can imagine, we have received hundreds of similar requests and so cannot possibly respond personally to everyone. This letter is to inform you that you have not been chosen for one of the coveted positions, but we do invite you to continue hanging around the lockers, acting as if you belong there. This selfless act will help the team members learn the art of ignoring lovesick girls. Sincerely, the Granada Hills Highlanders. P.S. Though your brother is one of the star players, we could not take this familial relationship into account. Sorry to say no. Please do not try out for one of the rebound. Oh, please wait. Please do try out for one of the rebound girlfriend positions in the future. I love that one. It's hilarious. So I think in this one you can see too. Well, in both of them, it's like a way to put some distance between the writer and the content, right? So you can write about something that's embarrassing or painful, like in a way that you're not so connected to it in your own voice, right? So there's a couple again. If you're really interested, I do recommend this book because it's just completely full of hermit crab essays. And then there's some, that are really playful, like this is a word finds, crossword puzzles. I mean, I feel like those take really a lot of like figuring out. But anyway, so let's see. Let's see what you guys are saying so far. Try it truly for the intellectuals of the world. Yeah, I mean, I think in a way, I don't know if you have to be intellectual, but I think you have to be curious, right? Like you have to be curious and you have to want to think about your content in a new way, in a different way. And I think you kind of have to have a reason for it. Yeah, terrific prompt. Yeah, that's true. It is so good. Um, so like when I wrote my hermit crab that I posted last week, I was writing about cultural adaptation. Um, and I put it in the format of a lab report because I wanted to have that like distance that I was just as if I was observing myself, right? And I think, like, writing it was a really great experience because I didn't feel like I was trying to convey the story. I felt like I was trying to convey very certain discrete aspects of the situation, which I felt like it was a different experience writing it, and I really appreciated it. So, let's get to it. I wanted you guys to get to do a little bit of writing. If you want to do that, I hope you're ready. If you want to have a couple of moments of writing and thinking. So as I've said, I think to brainstorm, you either start with the content, what you want to write about, or you start with the shell, right? Remember what it's called for the life of me. The hermit crab? Is that what we're talking about here? Sorry, I'm gonna go back. Oh, here it is. Okay, let's see what Brian says. Brian Keith Edwards says there's a Mark Twain short story about a circus losing its elephant and the panic it causes, but at least a large part of it is written from the format of The Lost Elephant. Notice printed in the newspaper. I've been trying to find it for years, but I can't. Yeah. No, that's a great example. I feel like Twain did write things like that. And, that's fiction, but I think this format can be fiction or nonfiction. But yeah, that's a great example. I'm gonna have to look that one up. I love Twain. Okay, so let's get to the workshop part. So I have kind of two steps for you. I want you to take about 5 minutes to think about it. And you can do this in either order. So one, you could think about the content first, like what's inside the shell, right? So maybe just make a list. You can think about something you can't stop thinking about, like what's on your mind right now. you could think about something really specific, like a contradiction in your life, a secret, maybe a place or a relationship that changed you, right? So pick maybe one of those things and take a few minutes just to kind of brainstorm some ideas. And then the shell, right? So let's just do the content first. I'm going to put this up so you can see it. So is that going backwards? Anyway, jot notes. Something you can't stop thinking about, a contradiction in your life, a secret obsession, a change you didn't choose, a place, a relationship that altered you. And, or write about whatever you want. It doesn't matter, right? Let's just take 2 or 3 minutes and jot some ideas down. And to think I was never trying to teach you anything. Thanks for being so kind to me. You are the master. Oh, Tris was my mentor, and she's an amazing published writer. I'm honored that she's here in our little live session. Okay, so I specifically am going to write about a place. So I'm going to time us. Let's just take 3 minutes. Okay, just take one more minute. Remember, we're just jotting ideas that we might want to use for content. Okay, let's stop there. I mean, if you're on a roll, just keep writing. But um, so the first thing we did was we just took a couple of minutes to write the content, like what we would want inside our shell, right? So you may have written about something you can't stop thinking about, a contradiction, whatever. So go back and look at it and try to decide or label what is the predominant feeling here, right? Like I was writing about being at the bus station when I was in China and how everything is in, Chinese, Mandarin, Cantonese, whatever. And I didn't like understand anything. Like I was just looking for even context clues to figure out where I needed to go. And then I started looking for people that I thought I could ask. Like usually younger people were more likely to speak English, right? So the overarching feeling I had there was like confusion. So maybe off to the side, you can just label feeling or feelings. And then think about what forms already exist that may match that feeling, right? Like if if the feeling is control or loss of control, a rules or a contract. I remember when I posted my hermit crab essay in the comments, somebody wrote about using their divorce decree, right? So the forms like that, they're also maybe meaningful to you because you've experienced it. Could be a really great idea. Um, so if confusion is the main thing, think about like a flow chart, an FAQ. So I think for mine, an FAQ would be really um, would be a really cool form, and I might work on that. Um, if you're writing about desire or something you wanted, some of the forms might be like a wish list or a menu. Um, I don't know, discussion about a dreamscape. I don't know. Maybe if you are thinking about loss, inventory, or a missing persons report. Of course, there's always like instruction manual or instructions in general. Another thing to think about too is just forms that you're familiar with that might be related to your job or something you do. Like I'm a teacher, so I'm really familiar with things like detention forms, lesson plans, things like that. So I think I could use my little bit of content here and put it in an FAQ, or I could even put it in like a lesson plan. So take a minute and think about what kind of form could match your content. Just jot some ideas down. You don't have to actually write it. You can start writing if you want, but write ideas or start even writing the content. So if you haven't already, the last step is really just kind of pairing that one little piece of content with the form and maybe just trying it on, right? You can list things, just really try to let the form lead you, right? Don't worry about it making sense or sounding good. Just like almost think about filling out the form with your idea. And you can also Google a form and see what it is, right? And kind of just like fill in your ideas. I think that's really helpful. So while you're doing that, I'm gonna look back and see if I have any questions. I feel like maybe you can even, I don't know, think about some forums that are very present, like on Substack or on the internet, like different memes or notes, things like that. And it doesn't have to be long, particularly long. I think even to start out with, doing something really short, like an FAQ would be pretty short, or a detention, which I might do. I might send a detention to. Out of my damn mind for being late. Okay, look and see. All right, so we're just going to wrap up. Hopefully, you've gotten some ideas, or at least maybe gotten a little bit more motivated or curious about some different ways you can kind of present your writing, kind of wrap up your writing in these different forms. Um, and I encourage you just to experiment and explore. I think for a long time when I was writing, I was really like strict with myself. Like I felt like I always had to like be saying something, and I had to be serious, and really like writing is your art. So, every other type of artist gives themselves a chance and time to explore. So I hope that you do that as well. And I did post as a note the resources that I've used today. I do recommend this book very highly, Tell It Slant. Um, this one as well, I didn't use it, but it's called A Heart for the Stars. It has a ton of lyrical essays. It's really, really good. And anyway, if you finish your hermit crab essays, I would love for you to tag me. And are there any questions before we take off and enjoy our Saturday? So thank you, Laura B, for joining, and can't see everybody else. Trish, out of my damn mind. I wish Substack could like show us a list. But anyway, does anybody have any questions before we sign off? I'm pretty proud of myself. I went for 20 minutes and it was only 8 minutes over. So I think the idea here was to do a mini lesson, right? Just like a mini lesson is just proposing a very specific skill or a very specific form and giving people a chance to try it out. So hopefully you can check out the resources, go back to my states of matter. You can have a look at my example and yeah, be out there, keep writing and keep experimenting. Thank you out of my damn mind. I feel like I was in the best class. So thank you. Okay, everyone. Thank you. Take care. And of course, you can always DM me if you have any questions or you want some suggestions.